Welcome to the Unit 3, Section 6 video on graphing functions. One way to understand functions is to graph them. You can graph a function by finding ordered pairs that satisfy the function. When presented with a table of x and y values, ordered pairs are already known and can be graphed directly. So here is a function presented in table form. If we want to graph this function, all we have to do is graph the ordered pair -4, 1, the ordered pair -2, 2, the ordered pair 0, 3, and so on. And so when you graph those ordered pairs, you would get this result, a discrete function that is graphed in this manner. Now, if we're given a function, we can take x values and substitute them to find the corresponding y values. And then this would give us a table of values that we can then plot. The given domain provides the x values to use. Each x value should be substituted into the function to find the corresponding range of y values. So we want to graph the function x squared minus 6x plus 2 for the domain of these values that are given here, -1 to 5. So we're going to create a table, and we're going to put each x value in. So we'll start with -1. We're going to substitute that into our function, and we're going to evaluate it. And when we do, we get that y equals 9. So we have an ordered pair, -1, 9. Then we're going to go to 0 and plug that in and find that our y value is 2. And so we get the ordered pair 0, 2. And we continue to do this for 1, finding that when we substitute that in, we get -3. So 1, -3 is the next ordered pair. When we plug in 2, we get -6. When we plug in 3, we get -7. When we plug in 4, we get -6. And finally, when we plug in 5, we're going to get -3. So now we have several ordered pairs that we can graph. So you just go to your graph, you plot all the ordered pairs, and that gives you a look at how the function is shaped. Recall that in real-world situations, you may have to limit the domain to make the answers reasonable. For example, quantities such as time, distance, and number of people can be represented using only non-negative values. They have to be positive. You can't have a negative number of people. You can't go back in time and have negative time. When both the domain and range are limited to non-negative values, the function is graphed only in quadrant 1. If the domain of a function is continuous, any number within the bounds of the domain can be used as an input value. This process will produce an infinite number of ordered pairs that satisfies the function. Therefore, a smooth line or curve is used to represent the infinite number of ordered pairs. When graphing continuous functions, use the function to generate ordered pairs by choosing several values for x within the domain. Plot enough points to see a pattern for the graph, then connect the points with a line or smooth curve. So let's look at this example. The function y equals 2.5x describes how many millimeters sea level y rises in x years. Graph the function. Use the graph to estimate how many millimeters sea level will rise in 3.5 years. So our reasonable domain is going to be 0 to infinity because we're talking about time. We can't go back in time, we can only go forward. So we're going to be using only positive values. So we're going to create a table and we're going to put in a few x values within that domain. Let's start with 0, the lower bound. If we plug that in to our function, 2.5 times 0, and we get 0 as our output, which makes sense, okay? Because 0 is our starting point. We want to see how much the sea level will rise from where we're starting. So let's go out 1 year. We plug in 1 and we get 2.5, and our output is 2.5, which would be 2.5 millimeters. We'll put in 2 and get 5 as our output. We'll put in 3 and get 7.5. And we'll put in 4 and get 10. So now that we have a few values, we're going to go to our graph and we're going to plot those points, and then we will connect those points, in this case, with a straight line, because this is a linear function. We'll talk more about linear functions in a little bit later unit. So over time, in our x value, we have our rise in sea level. So now we can use this graph to look at 3.5, which is halfway between 3 and 4. We can follow that value up to our graph and then back to our y value to estimate how much that is. And the estimate is that the sea level will rise about 8.75 millimeters in 3.5 years. The last thing I want to look at in this section is creating a table of values using technology. You can use a graphing calculator to understand the connections among functions, rules, tables, and graphs. Make a table of values and graph the function f of x equals 4x plus 3 using a TI-84 plus calculator. So I recommend that you grab your TI-84 plus calculator, turn it on, and then pause this video and then come back to it once you're ready. Now let's go through the steps of using your TI-84 plus calculator to graph this function. First, you're going to hit the y equals button. Then you're going to enter the function rule, 4x plus 3. Pause this video as you need to so you have time to complete each step. Now the next thing, once you have it entered, is to press second window and verify the settings that you see here. You want to make sure that your independent variable is on auto and your dependent variable is also on auto, and that your change in table is set at 1. Then to view the table, press second graph, and you should see the table very similar to what you see here. Next, to view the table with the graph, you're going to press the mode button. Then you're going to select GT view, as shown on the screen. It's that last line that is in your mode menu. Next, press trace to see both the graph and the table of values. Finally, press the left arrow key several times to move left along the graph and up the table. And as you move left and right, you'll see the x and y coordinates change as you trace across the graph, so you can make estimates using your graphing calculator. You'll see the x values and the corresponding y values. Thanks for checking out my video in the Foundations in Algebra series. You can subscribe to my channel. I've got the next video queued up for you, and if you need to check out any of the videos in the course, I've got the course playlist for you here as well. Thanks for watching.